Yes, that's fine. It's just there they say for a man, even out of salah is not permissible. So if it's not permissible out of salah, so to a greater extent in salah is not permissible. Yeah. Start. Um, Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَلَا يَكُفُّ ثَوْبَهُ. A person reading salah should not fold the clothes. Like how sometimes, you roll up your sleeve for wudu, so you got your sleeve rolled up, etc., right? Oh yeah, that question that we're going to answer, the question is about for the ladies to put their hair into a ponytail out of salah. Yeah, that's fine, it's not a problem. That prohibition is for men. The men shouldn't make ponies. And especially while they're in salah, even with minimal movement, they shouldn't tie their hair into a ponytail. So وَلَا يَكُفُّ ثَوْبَهُ, and he will not fold up his clothes. لِأَنَّهُ نَوْءُ تَجَبُّرٍ. So maybe in previous times, this was like a shi'ar, it was a sign of the proud people to have their clothes folded up. I remember reading somewhere else also that when you are making sajda, all your clothes is also making sajda with you. All your clothes is also making sajda with you. So you should, when you fold it up, that means you're not allowing that part of the cloth to make sajda. So to have your, obviously for a man, you can have your what you call it, your sleeve folded up after you're making wudu, or like sometimes the man must have their pants above the ankles, so they keep their pants normal, and then just salat time they fold it, etc., etc. So that is inappropriate. You should cut your trouser one time to the proper length, etc. So وَلَا يَكُفُّ ثَوْبَهُ لِأَنَّهُ نَوْءُ تَجَبُّرٍ. It is a type of, you can say, pride, arrogance. Then the next masala is a sadal. Sadal means where you drape something over your head, or you drape a juba over your body, and then it is hanging. Like, you got your scarf here, Yusuf, right? So you just put your scarf over your head, but you don't fold it around your neck. So you just let it hang on the sides. You understand what I'm saying? You just let it hang on the sides. Or you got a juba, for example. So you just drape the juba over your arms, right? And you don't put your arms in. Or even maybe you got like this Palestinian scarf, right? So you just drape it over your shoulders. You just drape it over your shoulders, and you let it hang on the sides. That's a saddle. So the cloth hang without folding it, without tying it up, etc., right? So وَلَا يَسْدُلُ ثَوْبَهُ, and you will not uh, make hang his cloth. لأنه عليه السلام, because Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam naha an sadali, he prohibited from sadal. وهو أن يجعل ثوبه على رأسه, and it is that he put his cloth, like he just put it on his head, وكتفيه, or his shoulders, right? ثم يرسل أطرافه من جوانبه, and then he let it hang from the sides. So this is sadal. Various forms I told you, like a scarf, a jubba, whatever. All right. Carry on reading Ibarat. Right. So next one is ولا يأكل لا يشرب لأنه ليس من أعمال الصلاة. Obviously, obviously you will not eat and you will not drink لأنه ليس من أعمال الصلاة, because this is not from the action of salat. Obviously, uh, that doesn't require a lot of any further explanations. Just obvious, stand to reason. Right? Carry on. Right. Right. فإن أكل أو شرب عامدا أو ناسيا فسدت صلاته. If he ate or he drank عامدا intentionally, right, or nasiyan or forgetfully, فسدت صلاته, his salat will become fasid, right? So even if you forgot you're in salah, you forgot you are in salah and you ate something, your salat will become fasid. لأنه عمل كثير, because remember I tell you this is عمل كثير. I gave you before the explanation what is عمل كثير. Some ulama say عمل كثير means when you do the same thing 3 times, the same rukn. Some ulama say عمل كثير is when you do such an action that the onlooker looks and he'll think you out of salah, and that is the preferred opinion. So in the next ibarat, وَحَالَةُ الصَّلَاةُ مُذَكِّرَةٌ, if somebody says that, look here, if a person was fasting and he ate unintentionally when he was fasting, he ate he ate forgetfully while he was fasting. He ate forgetfully while he was fasting. What he done? He ate forgetfully while he was fasting. His fast doesn't break. So why, when a person ate forgetfully in salat, a person had some sweeties in his pocket and he forgot that I'm not supposed to eat in salat, and he took a sweetie and he put it in his mouth, and so why does the salah break when your fast break? They say no, there's a difference. When you are fasting, it's a long protracted ibadah. You become oblivious, you forget you're fasting. But wahalatu salati mudhakiratun. But if you look at salah, in salat you're supposed to be conscious all the time that you're worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you are turning towards Allah ta'ala, etc., etc. So wahalatu salati mudhakiratun. Salat is something which it reminds you. You are you are conscious. You know what is happening. So there's no excuse to forget that you are reading salah, and there's no excuse to become negligent and eat in salah, right? Okay, read the next text, inshallah. Okay, so the next ibarat, what they're explaining in the next ibarat is that, you know, you get a mihrab. One is a mimbar. The mimbar is where what the imam stands on, right? And one is the mihrab. The mihrab is where the imam stands in, right? So if an imam stands, he reads salat in such a manner that he is but he's only making sajda in the mihrab, that is not a problem. You understood that? But if he's completely in there to such an extent that his feet is also in a mihrab, then that will not be correct. You understood what I'm saying? So standing out of the mihrab and just making sajda in the mihrab, that is fine. But standing totally out of the mihrab, standing totally standing totally in the mihrab. That's what's right here. ولا بأس بأن يكون مقام الإمام في المسجد. There's no problem that أن يكون مقام الإمام, the place of standing of the imam, is in a masjid. وسجوده في الطاقة, but he's just making sajda in the mihrab, the taqa, right? ويقرأ أن يكون في الطاقة, but it's makruh that he must be standing in the taqa itself. ويقرأ أن يكون في الطاقة لأنه يشبه صنيع أهل الكتاب, because this resembles the way of the Ahl Kitab, to be for him to be separate and totally in the mihrab, right? Because now he's like in a different place to the rest of the people, right? لأنه يشبه صنيع أهل الكتاب من حيث تخصيص الإمام بالمكان, because now as though you're making a special place, a separate place for the imam. The imam is being distinguished from the rest of the people, right? Right. بخلاف ما إذا كان سجوده في الطاقة. Contrary to where, like I told you, he's standing out of the mihrab, but he's only making sajda in the mihrab. That is fine. There's no problem with that, right? Yeah. So the next thing is, sometimes I don't know if you see like by the ijtimas and that type of thing, they have, they have a platform or a stage. So for the imam to stand alone on there is not correct. Yes, if the imam stands on the stage and a few people stand with him, it will be acceptable that way. Be alone on a raised platform, right? Because of the same reason what we gave earlier, that the imam mustn't be distinguished from the rest of the people, right? وَكَذَا فِي الْقَلْبِ فِي ظَاهِرِ الرِّوَايَةِ. And like that, the opposite also, that all the people are standing on a raised platform, but the imam is standing on a lower place, right? Right? لأنه is the ra'un bil imami, because that is like, so to say, is the ra'un, it is lowering the status of the imam. I think, if I remember correctly, I think the Shias, the Isna Ashariya, they normally have a lowered area where the imam must stand in and all the people are on top, higher, right? So the imam, if you want to put him on the stage, you can put him on the stage, but a few people must pray with him on the stage, and that will be acceptable, right? Carry on. في بعض أسفاره. Okay, see, next one, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولا بأس أن يصلي إلى ظهر رجل قائد يتحدث لأن ابن عمر ربما كان يستتر بناف في بعض أسفاره. What you understand from that masla? Explain to me what you understand from that masla. And that person is talking, then it's fine, no problem. So you can face a person who's talking and he's busy engaged in some other activity. You face him, no problem with that there. So see, wala ba'sa, there's no problem. Ayusalli, that he prays ila dhahri. So in other words, you're using that person as a sutra. Remember we discussed sutra. Wala ba'sa yusalli ila dhahri rajulin. There's no problem that he prays to the back of a person, qai sitting, yatahaddath, he's speaking. لأن ابن عمر, because Ibn Umar ربما كان يستتر, he used to use as a sutra بنافع, as a nafi' في بعض أصفاره, on some of his journeys. Maybe there was an open place and there was no sutra, etc., etc. So he used to use him as a sutra. All right, carry on. Yeah, so they say here, just before we do the actual masla, let me explain to you. Things that people normally worship, things that people normally worship, it is makruh to face them and read salah. Why? Because now you're resembling the people who worship things, items, objects besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, وَلَا بَأْسَ بِأَن يُصَلِّيَ وَبَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ مُصْحَفٌ مُعَلَّقٌ أَوْ سَيْفٌ مُعَلَّقٌ. There is no problem that he prays وَبَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ, and in front of him is مُصْحَفٌ مُعَلَّقٌ, a Quran. Maybe in previous times they used to hang the Quran in a masjid. أَوْ سَيْفٌ مُعَلَّقٌ, or there is a sword that is hanging there. لأنهما لا يعبدان, because these things are not normally worshipped. These things are not normally worshipped. لأنهما لا يعبدان. Right? وباعتباره تثبت الكراهة. And it is these things that normally that are worshipped. These things that are normally worshipped. These are the things that is makruh to pray towards. Have you understood? We carry on, read the next one. Right. ولا بأس بيصلي على بساطة فيه تساوير. If you got a mat or a blanket, whatever, and there are pictures of animate objects on there, right? So there is no problem because it's on the floor. It is muhan. Muhan means it's not being honored, it's being disgraced, right? ولا بأس بيصلي على بساطة فيه تساوير لأن فيه استهانة بالصور, because the pictures are on the ground, it is being disgraced, it is not being respected, it's not being worshipped, right? But ولا يجوز على التصاوير, but you won't make sajda on the actual pictures. Why? لأنه يشبه إبادة الصورة, because if you're going to make sajda on the actual pictures, it is as though you are worshipping those pictures, right? وأطلق الكراهة في الأصل, but in asal means mafsud. There's mutlaq karahat. Whether you're making sajda on the actual pictures or you're not making sajda, it doesn't matter. وأطلق الكراهة في الأصل لأن المصلى معظم, because they say, look here, even though the musalla is on the ground, and even though you're not making sajda on the actual picture, right? But normally a musalla is a respected thing, right? Okay. ويكره أن يكون فوق right. ويكره أن يكون فوق رأسه في السقف أو بين يديه أو بإذائه تصاوير أو صورة معلقة. It is makruh that there will be above his head, like sometimes like how you have in the churches, etc., on the roof. ويكره أن يكون فوق رأسه في السقف, on the roof, أو بين يديه, in front of him, on the walls, أو بحذائه, on the sides, تصاوير, pictures, أو صورة معلقة, or pictures hanging, لحديث جبرائيل عليه السلام, because of the hadith of Jibreel عليه السلام, إنا لا ندخل بيتا, we do not enter a house, فيه كلب, in it which there is a kalb, a dog, أو صورة, a picture of an animate object. ولو كانت الصورة صغيرة بحيث لا تبدو للناظر لا يكره, but sometimes the picture is so small you can't see even the eyes, etc. لا تبدو للناظر لا يكره, then it's not makruh. Why? لأن الصغار جدا لا تعبد, because something which is very small that is not normally worshipped. You understood that? Okay, let's stop there. Inshallah, we'll continue tomorrow. سبحان الله بحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.